January 14, 2024, approximately 2100 hours local time, the Sea of Azov, that relatively shallow body of water separating southern Ukraine from occupied Crimea and southwestern Russia. According to multiple verified sources, a Russian A-50U airborne early warning and control aircraft operating in this airspace suddenly disappears from tracking. Within hours, Ukrainian officials claim responsibility for shooting down the aircraft using air defense systems. Russian military bloggers, often more reliable than official Russian sources, begin confirming the loss. Debris recovery operations commence in the Sea of Azov. This represents one of the most significant Russian aircraft losses of the entire conflict. And Skyfall Warfare has compiled verified information from official statements, open-source intelligence, and expert analysis to document this extraordinary event. The A-50, NATO reporting name Mainstay, serves as Russia's primary airborne early warning and control platform. Based on the Il-76 transport aircraft airframe, the A-50 carries a distinctive rotating radar dome above the rear fuselage. This radar system can detect aircraft, cruise missiles, and other aerial targets at extended ranges, providing Russian forces with over-the-horizon surveillance capability. The aircraft coordinates fighter operations, directs air defense responses, and provides battlefield awareness that ground-based radar cannot match due to Earth's curvature-limiting radar horizon. Russia operates a limited fleet of these aircraft, with estimates suggesting fewer than 10 A-50 airframes in serviceable condition as of early 2024. Each aircraft represents decades of specialized development, extensive modification from the base Il-76 platform, and integration of sophisticated radar and communication systems. Defense analysts estimate the replacement value of a fully equipped A-50U, the modernized variant, exceeds $350 million. More critically, these aircraft cannot be rapidly replaced. Production ended years ago, and the specialized systems require extensive manufacturing capability. Loss of even one aircraft meaningfully degrades Russian airborne surveillance capacity. The circumstances of the January 14th incident become clearer through compilation of multiple sources. Flight tracking data available through commercial services shows an A-50 aircraft operating patterns consistent with surveillance missions over the Sea of Azov during the evening hours. Ukrainian Air Force monitoring tracks the aircraft through various means including radar, electronic surveillance, and potentially intelligence from Western partners who closely monitor Russian air operations. At approximately 2100 hours, the aircraft apparently suffers catastrophic damage and crashes into the sea. Which factor was most critical here? A. Intelligence failure. B. Equipment limitations. C. Tactical surprise. Ukrainian officials, including Air Force Commander Mykola Oleshchuk, publicly claim credit for the shoot-down using Ukrainian air defense systems. The specific system employed remains officially unconfirmed by Ukrainian authorities, though military analysts assess several possibilities. Patriot air defense systems, provided by Western partners, possess sufficient range and capability to engage aircraft at extended distances. The S-200 system, a Soviet-era long-range air defense missile that Ukraine retains in limited numbers, could theoretically reach targets over the Sea of Azov from Ukrainian-controlled territory. Some analysts suggest possible involvement of modified S-200 missiles fired from positions in southeastern Ukraine. Russian sources provide conflicting information following predictable patterns. Official Russian Ministry of Defense statements initially remain silent about the loss, a common approach when acknowledging facts that contradict preferred narratives. However, Russian military bloggers and unofficial sources begin reporting the loss within hours, citing contacts within the military. Some accounts describe crew rescue operations, while others suggest total loss. The lack of official Russian confirmation for several days, combined with mil-blogger reports, creates high confidence that the loss occurred as Ukrainian sources claim. Open-source intelligence analysts compile evidence from multiple indicators. Social media posts from Russian military family members asking about crew members assigned to A-50 units suggest casualties. Flight tracking data shows the aircraft disappearing from coverage in the operational area. Ukrainian intelligence releases what they characterize as intercepted communications between Russian personnel discussing the loss. While individual pieces of evidence might be disputed, the cumulative weight of multiple independent indicators supports the conclusion that Ukraine successfully destroyed an A-50 aircraft on January 14, 2024. The tactical achievement represented by this shootdown cannot be overstated. A-50 aircraft typically operate well behind front lines, remaining safely distant from Ukrainian air defense range. The aircraft's mission precisely includes detecting and avoiding threats through its sophisticated radar systems and crew training. Successfully targeting such an aircraft requires extensive intelligence on flight patterns, precise calculation of engagement geometry, ideal positioning of air defense systems to maximize range, split-second execution during the brief window when the aircraft enters weapons range, and the capability to overcome any defensive countermeasures the aircraft might employ. Have you seen the satellite images from this strike? Check the sources linked in description. The intelligence preparation for such a strike likely began well before the actual engagement. Ukrainian forces and Western intelligence partners monitor Russian A-50 operations through various means. Pattern analysis of previous flights establishes typical operating areas, altitudes, and routes. This intelligence allows planners to position air defense systems optimally and prepare engagement protocols. When the aircraft follows expected patterns on January 14th, Ukrainian forces execute the planned engagement. The missile, whether Patriot or modified S-200 or another system, flies its intercept course over dozens of kilometers, tracks the aircraft using radar or infrared guidance depending on missile type, and detonates in proximity to or directly striking the target. An aircraft the size of the Il-76, packed with fuel and electronic systems, suffers catastrophic damage from even a single missile hit. The crew likely has minimal time to react before the aircraft breaks apart or loses control. The crash into the Sea of Azov complicates debris recovery for both sides. Russian forces launch search and rescue operations, attempting to recover any surviving crew members and retrieve sensitive equipment and classified materials from the wreckage. Ukrainian forces lack direct access to the crash site, but benefit from denying Russia intact recovery of potentially valuable systems. The shallow depth of much of the Sea of Azov allows eventual salvage operations, though the value of water-damaged electronics remains questionable. The strategic impact on Russian air operations manifests immediately. Loss of one A-50 from a fleet of fewer than 10 operational aircraft represents more than 10% reduction in this critical capability. Russian air operations over southern Ukraine and the Black Sea region depend on A-50 surveillance to detect Ukrainian aircraft, coordinate fighter responses, and provide early warning of Ukrainian missile or drone attacks. Without adequate A-50 coverage, Russian forces must rely more heavily on ground-based radar with its inherent range limitations, accept reduced situational awareness, or risk remaining A-50 aircraft by operating them in potentially dangerous airspace. Which system proves most effective in this conflict? A. Long-range missiles. B. Drone swarms. C. Combined operations. Russian operational changes following the January 14th loss suggest significant concern about A-50 vulnerability. Flight tracking and Ukrainian intelligence reports indicate that subsequent A-50 missions occur further from the front lines, reducing their radar coverage effectiveness but increasing safety margins. Russian forces may reduce A-50 flight hours to preserve remaining aircraft, though this directly reduces the aerial surveillance coverage that these platforms provide. The loss also likely triggers review of A-50 operating procedures, electronic warfare protection, and escort protocols. The crew loss dimension adds human tragedy to the strategic calculus. The A-50 typically carries a crew of approximately 15 personnel, including pilots, radar operators, communications specialists, and mission controllers. These highly trained specialists require years of education and experience to achieve proficiency in the complex systems aboard the aircraft. If the entire crew perished in the crash, Russia lost not only the aircraft but also a significant portion of its pool of qualified A-50 operators. Reconstituting this human capital requires even more time than manufacturing a replacement aircraft, assuming Russia possesses the capability to build additional A-50s at all. International implications of the shootdown include demonstration of Ukrainian capability to threaten high-value Russian aerial assets operating in supposedly safe areas. Western-provided air defense systems, particularly if Patriot missiles accomplish the shoot-down, prove their effectiveness against sophisticated Russian aircraft in actual combat. This validation supports continued Western military assistance and potentially encourages additional air defense system transfers. The successful engagement also demonstrates Ukrainian tactical competence in employing complex weapon systems effectively against difficult targets. Does this pattern indicate a shift in Russian strategy? Comment your analysis. Comparison with other significant aircraft losses during the conflict provides context. Russia has lost several transport aircraft, including Il-76s, through various causes. Fighter and attack aircraft losses number in the dozens based on verified documentation. However, specialized aircraft like the A-50 represent unique capabilities that cannot be easily replaced through surge production or reallocation from other units. The January 14 loss, therefore, has outsized impact relative to its single aircraft count. Ukrainian strategy of targeting Russian force multipliers rather than individual tactical units demonstrates sophisticated operational planning. Destroying one A-50 degrades Russian capabilities across the entire southern operational theater more effectively than destroying numerous individual fighters or helicopters. This targeting priority maximizes the impact of limited Ukrainian long-range air defense resources. The economic calculation shows massive cost imposition on Russia. The missile expended to destroy the A-50, whether a Patriot interceptor costing approximately $4 million or a modified S-200 costing substantially less, represents a tiny fraction of the value of the destroyed aircraft. The $350 million replacement cost assumes Russia could even manufacture a replacement, which remains uncertain given industrial capacity constraints and Western sanctions on advanced electronics. The true cost includes not only the aircraft value, but also the training investment in the crew and the operational capability loss until any replacement enters service. Follow-on implications for Russian air strategy include potential reorganization of surveillance operations, greater reliance on satellite surveillance despite its limitations compared to airborne platforms, possible reallocation of remaining A-50 assets to other theaters if southern Ukraine becomes too dangerous, and accelerated development of alternative surveillance capabilities if possible. None of these alternatives fully replaces the lost A-50 capability, leaving Russia with a permanent reduction in airborne early warning capacity for the duration of the conflict. If you follow verified military analysis, type verified, the psychological impact on Russian military personnel operating high-value aircraft deserves consideration. A-50 crews previously considered themselves relatively safe operating behind the front lines at altitude. The January 14th loss demonstrates that no area within several hundred kilometers of Ukrainian-controlled territory guarantees safety from air defense systems. This recognition may affect crew morale and willingness to conduct missions near areas where Ukrainian long-range air defense might operate. While professional military personnel will continue flying assigned missions, the awareness of vulnerability creates additional stress and may influence operational decisions about mission routing and duration. Tactical lessons for both sides inform future operations. Ukraine demonstrates the value of patient intelligence collection, careful planning, and disciplined execution in achieving high-value kills against difficult targets. The success validates the integration of Western air defense systems and Ukrainian operational planning. Russia learns that high-value assets require greater standoff distances or enhanced protection, that Ukrainian capabilities continue expanding through Western support, and that operational patterns become predictable and exploitable if maintained too long without variation. What tactical adaptation should we watch for next? Share your thoughts. The verification of this incident relies on multiple corroborating sources, despite limited imagery or debris evidence available to open-source researchers. Ukrainian official statements from Air Force Command provide direct claims of responsibility. Russian military blogger reports from multiple independent sources acknowledge the loss. Flight tracking data shows aircraft disappearance. Intelligence intercepts released by Ukrainian services describe Russian responses. While absolute proof comparable to satellite imagery of wreckage would be ideal, the convergence of multiple independent indicators creates high confidence in the basic facts. The documented loss of the A-50U on January 14, 2024, represents a significant tactical victory for Ukrainian forces and a meaningful strategic degradation of Russian airborne surveillance capability. The shoot-down demonstrates Ukrainian ability to threaten high-value Russian assets previously considered safe, validates Western air defense system effectiveness, and imposes irreplaceable losses on Russian specialized aviation. Analysis based on Ukrainian Air Force official statements, Russian military blogger reports compiled by monitoring services, flight tracking data, Institute for the Study of War Assessment, and reporting from Reuters and Associated Press. Real warfare, real analysis. Skyfall warfare. Subscribe to Skyfall Warfare for documented analysis of real aerial warfare. Sources in description. This analysis is based on available open-source information and official statements as of January 2024. Some details may be incomplete, disputed, or subject to revision as more information becomes available. Skyfall Warfare aims to provide fact-based analysis while acknowledging the fog of war.